Did we not see Blue Sky and Riho versus Ruby Soso and Tony Storm with Saraya in the corner last week?
No, we didn't. I think they've been mixing it up. We saw Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho. We saw Riho versus Hater, but the week before was Riho versus, I think, one of the NWO women or the Outcasts. A variation of this, yes.
It's a variation on a theme. Well, I picked up 10 minutes on that. So then we come to the main event. Chris Jericho versus Keith Lee off a very odd-sounding confrontation last week. We get this match completely out of the blue. And I mean, I got to be honest, in 1 year, Keith Lee has gone from limitless Keith Lee to if famous Amos joined Starfleet Academy.
Oh, come on.
What?
I've seen what the original famous Amos looked like, so I know who you're referring to.
Yes, and with Keith Lee's new wardrobe, he looks like he sees the fucking intergalactic ambassador from fucking the Romulans or something. So the bell rang on this with 15 minutes on the air, and I was thinking they've got to be joking. But they worked it for once. The opponent of Jericho did not need to slow down so as to enable Mr. Jericho to keep up. It was the other way around. And they worked a big man, little man match, which they should, except I guess if it's just another big man. Remember, we liked Keith Lee in NXT. Potential in the past 2 years. I know he had health issues. If this is a health issue now, maybe they shouldn't make him go 15 minutes. A big monster guy can do 5 and 6 minutes and out if you do it right. Why are they making him do this if it's a health issue? If it's not a health issue, and why the fuck do they want him to do this long? And I mean, he would He would no-sell the chops and like level Jericho with a shoulder tackle or whatever, but then he went over and kissed him on the forehead. What, did you see that? What is that? Is he joined the mafia?
How about Jericho's reaction to it?
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but it was only about at half-mast. It wasn't really a full-on fucking boner. But anyway,
right. That wasn't what I said, but okay.
So at this point, when he kissed him on the forehead, I said, I'm about to give up. They were moving like they were in Jell-O. And for the break spot, Keith Lee, he took a kick from Jericho and took a 6-stage rolling bump off the apron that Ox Baker would have been proud of. I mean, he could have had Fabergé eggs taped to various parts of his body and not broken any of them. But they went to the break and they come back, and Jericho's getting heat on Keith Lee, and it looked like the bassist for an 80s hair metal band abusing a walrus. I don't know. Keith made an alleged comeback. They kind of got lost. Lee hit a tackle, took a while to get on the ropes. He did a moonsault off the second rope. He's amazingly agile in between moments of severely compromised mobility. When he does the moonsault, Keith Lee does, Jericho raises his knees and hurt his own legs, which that was a cute spot. And Lee got a choke slam and a 2 count. And then Jericho gets the walls, Jericho, and Keith gets the ropes. And then that's where this fucking finish. And again, Stace is brewing her custom-made imported tea in the kitchen, and I'm snort laughing, right? And she said, what's going on? I said, come here, watch this finish. Keith Lee, fireman's carry, lifts Jericho over his shoulders, and Jericho grabs referee Aubrey by the collar of her shirt or whatever, and she immediately obviously turns her back to where old Daniel Garcia is in Jericho's corner. And it's such an awkward thing. If you were being pulled this direction by this guy, you would not turn in this way. Meanwhile, Garcia jumps up on the apron and tries to hit Keith Lee in the back where he's got Jericho up on his shoulders, but Lee is so far out. The first time he swings and kind of pats him a little bit. So I guess Jericho said, back up. And he backed up and he swung at him a little bit more. And was that supposed to cause Keith Lee to drop Jericho? Because that's what he did. But then Lee turns around and elbows Garcia and beals him over the top rope into the ring. And then he has to roll over next to Jericho so they can stand next to each other, stand up and line up for a double clothesline. And then Garcia goes ass over tea kettle, and Aubrey is busy with, him, while Keith Lee hits Jericho with a sit-out powerbomb. And this sounds like it's going quicker than it was. And the powerbomb looks great, but here comes Swerve. And he hit Keith Lee was that a toolbox or was it a boom box? Some kind of big radio or big equipment case or whatever.
This is an HD, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And then Aubrey has shoved Garcia out of the way and turns around, and there's supposed to be nobody else there, and both the guys are laying there. And Jericho puts his arm over Keith Lee, and Aubrey, just staring, drops down and counts 1, 2, 3. And then Stacy busts out, "You lazy motherfuckers," and stood up and left the fucking room. She was offended by the fucking blaseness of this fucking rotten finish. And she hadn't done one in 20 years. And she could still have pulled it off better than that. And then, so Jericho is beating Keith Lee, and then here, apparently to make sure Keith is okay, comes Adam Cole down the ramp. And as Adam Cole is making his way to ringside, guess what? My DVR freezes, because they're always within 30 seconds of going off the air every fucking week, and somebody else comes out. Did he get super kicked or hurt or punished or talked down to in any way? What happened?
I believe Adam Cole came out there and just talked to him, and that's kind of how things ended. So that's all we know. Adam Cole obviously had referenced Keith Lee in a promo. It is interesting, and a lot of people have brought up the irony that the story when Adam Cole left WWE was that they wanted him to be a manager for Keith Lee, and he'd rather come here and wrestle to AEW. And here we are, full circle.
Now maybe Keith Lee can manage Adam Cole.
Here he is with his grandfather, Adam Cole.
Augustus Ulysses. Augustus Ulysses. Or you lilies. Augustus Ulysses Cole, his grandfather.